Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. On today's show, we're going to check in with a couple of local boxers training with MMA fighters, and we'll show you how to combat unscrupulous boxing promoters. We'll give you highlights of the Cardinals' 2018 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Plus, we'll discuss the shortage of football referees with veteran official Don Meyers. Plus, a local high school is named its gymnasium after an NBA Hall of Famer who recently passed away. So stay tuned for this and much more coming up next on Inside Sports. First up, NBA Hall of Famer Henry Jojo White played high school basketball at McKinley here in St. Louis. He started in college at Kansas and helped the USA win a gold medal in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico. He was a first-round pick of the Celtics back in 1969 and led Boston to 2 NBA titles. He was a 7-time All-Star, averaging over 17 points and 5 assists per game. His number 10 jersey is retired by the Celtics and his number 15 by the Jayhawks. Jojo passed away recently this year at the age of 71. And in honor of him, McKinley High School has named their gymnasium after him. As a kid, I really enjoyed watching Jojo. Congratulations and kudos to McKinley for this classy move.
I'd like to thank the school board. I'd especially like to thank Mr. Gaines for recognizing the great achievements of my uncle.
It really is an exciting opportunity for me to stand here, share with you that we want to make sure that he is recognized as contributing to the city of St. Louis, and not only as an athlete, because we knew him, okay? And this was a young man who knew what it meant to be right.
Well, there's a referee shortage crisis this year in high school football. There's not enough officials to do the games. So many marquee contests are having to move from the standard Friday nights to Thursday. And joining us now to discuss this issue is veteran referee Don Meyers. Don, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Now, you've been a referee for what, over 3 decades now?
Since the early 1980s.
Since the early 1980s, and you've had the opportunity and privilege to be the referee and official in many, several title games.
Right, I've done 3 state title games, 95, 98, and 2006.
Now, what brought you into officiating? What made you, what kind of a passion made you want to be an official?
Actually, I'm a retired St. Louis police officer, and I was looking for a way to make some extra money other than the usual security work. So, roundabout way, I looked into officiating and got certified, and the rest is history.
Now, you seem to have a big passion for being an official, and not everybody does. And right now in St. Louis, there's a shortage. I mean, there's some marquee games, some big time being moved from like the big Friday night where everybody can come with their families. They're moving some of these games to Thursdays. Why is there such a shortage of officials here in St. Louis?
Well, I think a number of factors are involved. First off, more schools are, from when I started, more schools are playing football. More schools are playing Friday night football. And when I started, we had 4-man crews. Now we have 5-man crews, and we could make a case for 6-man crews with all the passing that are in the high school level. But we're having a hard time filling 5-man crews, so that's a number of reasons.
Let me ask you this: how come they're going to Thursdays and not Saturdays?
That's a good question. Some schools still play on Saturdays. Our crew has a number of games on Saturday this year. I think a lot of schools don't want to have to return to the campus on a Saturday. The weekend is for.
Or they want to enjoy their weekends, right?
Exactly.
I got you. I was wondering if there was any competition with maybe some colleges, because colleges play a lot of games on Saturdays. Is there a balance, or do some of the high school officials also go to the college ranks? I understand that maybe the colleges are pulling some of the high school officials to the college ranks before they might be ready.
We have some officials that do both high school and college. I myself, I only do high school. I was given the opportunity to do college several years ago and turned it down for personal reasons. But I don't think that's as big of an issue as just having enough officials for Friday night games.
There was a recent article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch by Michelle Munns, and it was very descriptive. It kind of had some insinuations that a lot of people, they don't want to get into the field of refereeing because of the abuse they take. I mean, you've got extra kids on the sideline, you've got parents on the sideline. Former official Lynn Hart Jr. Told me that there's a lot of people and parents get sideline passes. And then these guys are an extra ear. You've got the players, coaches, fans, and now you have parents on the sideline screaming at officials. Now, how does that make an official feel when you're getting berated by not just the coach, but fans and parents and coaches as well?
Well, in my own case, I can only speak for myself and my crew. In my own case, if there's somebody that doesn't belong on the sidelines, we'll have them removed. The athletic directors work very closely with us. They want a secure environment for the players, for the officials, so the coaches can coach, the players can play, and the officials can officiate. So we don't. I won't. I mean, I've asked is kind of the key word there. At times for people to leave the sideline, and then it's up to the school administration to carry that out for you. And it's not anything we're looking to do, but if it does happen, we're quick to respond.
Now, I know you're going to get the head coach, you know, they're heated, they're all fired up before the game. And the head coach and maybe a team captain, they're allowed to talk to you in the most part. But where do you draw the line from, you know, from a coach yelling, "Oh, come on, ref, he was out of bounds," to where it goes over the line? Where do you draw the line?
Just like any other official, if it can't get personal, they can't say anything about it. I don't have a problem with a coach or a captain questioning a call or a rule interpretation, and I'll go out of my way to try to explain a rule to a coach or a player if I can. However, if it gets personal about such as you stink or you this, you that, then that will cross the line and we'll have to take action.
Now, we used to call it growing up umpires and referees that would turn and look over, they had rabbit ears. And anytime we thought we were getting under the referee's skin, because I feel like when I was growing up, we used to yell at the umpires and the refs because we wanted to win. And then I think we probably crossed the line. But that was a different era. Is the new generation, are they as thick-skinned perhaps? And do they need to be?
Well, there's a reason why I do high school, and I think high school is easier to do than grade school games because the parents are so much farther closer to the field and are allowed to do more than the high school level and even the college level.
And you guys are people. I mean, you don't want to make a mistake. You want to get it right. But there's some parents, there was like a 9th grade parent that went after coaches by their cars. And there's
Right.
instances of people quitting during the middle of the season because of abuse.
Or in the middle of games.
And outside, so that happens. Can you cite any examples?
Not that I know of personally. I have heard of them, but when I started officiating back in the 80s, there's a magazine called Referee Magazine, and every so often there would be an article in there about an official getting assaulted. And I mean, maybe once or twice a year. Then it got to be every other month. Now it's every month. And there's videos you can see, and in a way it's gotten out of hand. And there's some sense of entitlement of people to either be able to berate officials, to question them personally, or to even go and use physical violence against them. So it is I even brought this up at a meeting many years ago, and I had other officials just kind of laugh about it. It's not a problem. Well, it is a problem. And in my own case, I've got a disabled son, and what I would give to see him play one day the way parents get to see their kids play every week, it would be very rewarding to me. And just the advice I would give parents is it's going to be over before you know it. Both my sons are grown, and I miss it. I miss it big time. And just enjoy it, and just because it's going to be over before you know it.
And the average age, I understand, is about 55 an official. So
it's old.
And it's not like when you're coming in, that doesn't seem like an in vogue thing to do with everybody on their tablets and Facebook all the time. Before we let you go, we got about 30 seconds. Can you give us some information on how someone can become an official? Because this is a crisis right now, folks. We need referees for these
young-
high school, and we need young
Young
ones, right?
ones, young ones. And the problem with that is a lot of times when you get young officials, then the colleges snatch them up, which is fine. If that's the way, that's the route they want to go. But it's very easy to do. You can go to a search engine on your computer, and it's just Missouri State High School Activities Association.org or mshsaa.org, or you can go to a search engine and put in St. Louis Officials Association, and they'll be glad to get you in touch and get you on course.
Thank you so much, Don.
Not
And
a
what I
problem.
can say is young people and people like that are first responders and policemen, firemen, military people would make great referees.
Great officials.
Because they've got the
Great way
the
to stay,
intestinal fortitude.
great
for
way
it.
to stay in the game, and a great way to make. I've made some lifelong friends through this.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much
welcome.
once again. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on Inside Sports.
Hi, I'm Ozzie Smith, and you're watching Inside Sports on STL TV.
Hey, welcome back to Inside Sports. I'm Todd Blackstock. What a day out here. The 2018 St. Louis Cardinals induction ceremony of 3 new players into their Hall of Fame. Harry the Cat Burkeen, Ray Langford, and Vince Coleman. Let's take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ballpark Village. Welcome to the induction ceremony for the 2018 class of the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame.
What an awesome day.
Yes, it was very awesome. I loved it. I cried. I laughed. I smiled.
Well, I just gotta say that the atmosphere here is amazing. Like, get a lot of people here, never before seen in my life. Just great fun, games, drinks, have fun out there, be safe.
When I walked in here, it simply amazed me. It did, really, really did.
It's awesome. Everyone's super friendly, great atmosphere. Beer's cold, nothing to complain about.
My name is Dan McLaughlin. I'm one of the TV voices of the St. Louis Cardinals. Honored and privileged to be here for our 5th induction ceremony of the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Now it's time to meet our 2018 Cardinals Hall of Fame inductees. In addition to nominating modern players for fan balloting, the Red Ribbon panel of Cardinals baseball experts also elect a veteran player for induction using a secret ballot process. This year's selection, Harry Burkeen. Representing Harry Burkeen and the entire Burkeen family, please welcome his son, Stephen Burkeen. Stephen.
I can speak for him and tell you what he would say. He would tell you how honored he was to be recognized by his peers. He would tell you that he was humbled to be counted as a group of super Cardinal heroes like we have here. He would tell you the previous inductees were a great class, and he would be especially pleased to be included in the class of 2018 with Ray and Vince. This is what Harry would not tell you. He would not tell you that he was a great pitcher with great control, had a wicked screwball, and was rated one of the best. He would not tell you that he was cool under pressure. He would not tell you that he came on strong in the second half of the 46th season, improved in 47, and as mentioned earlier, he led in 48. He would not take much credit for his performance in the 46 World Series, and that's probably for what he's most well known.
Please welcome Vince Coleman.
It was amazing, and to see him tearing up at certain points of the ceremony and the speech was kind of moving, wasn't it?
Okay, yes.
See, I said I wanted to be there every day. You inspired me. As you take ground balls off your knees every day in practice.
Who would know that someone would put you up in their house?
Willie took me under his arms and he asked me to move into his home. But Willie had rules. So Willie didn't charge me any rent. I had to pay the rent. He gave my own room. Only thing I had to do was put my own phone line in my room because he didn't want me tying up his line all night long. It was before cell phones and call wait and wasn't none of that back then. So that's all I had to do. We leave to go to the ballpark every day at 1 o'clock, go have lunch, and then we'll go to the ballpark. Curfew was 12:30. So one night, I came home at 12:45. I told Willie I was at the batting cage working on my stroke. He didn't go for that.
Buy you a car and be like a co-parent.
See, Ozzy, I was raised without a father. You bought me my first car. Isn't that what fathers do?
And it was fabulous. So I mean, those are great players, great memories. And I really hope they make him a coach.
He hit for the cycle, led the league in triples as a rookie, then later went on to have 5 seasons of 20 home runs and 20 steals. And who could forget about that play with Darren Dalton? Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Ray Langford.
Give a special thanks to my Uncle Sam. Thank you for believing in me when I was a kid. Growing up in a tough part of LA, a lot of great players didn't make it out, but I did.
He chose the better part, and that's what makes me so proud. He wanted to do good, and he did good.
Thanks to my grandparents, my family, who sacrificed and did whatever was necessary for my success.
And we're here with Ray Langford's aunt. Her name is Lavinia?
Lavinia Lewis.
Lavinia Lewis, and what a special day for Ray and your family. I know you had a huge contingent of people out here supporting Ray, and I know it was a very emotional day for you and your family.
Yes, it was. Very proud of him. We came from California here to share in his success, and we're so proud of him.
So what was it with Ray's career that was so special? He was one of those guys, to me, that he was good at everything. You know, he could hit with power, speed, but as a kid growing up, what were some of the things that you taught him, and you know, what kind of a guy was he growing up?
I loved about him his determination and how he was always willing to listen and take criticism.
It's not coachable, you know, and that's one thing that caught my eye. My younger brother, he also played in the major leagues, so I was around him for a while, and I saw a lot of talent that he had at a young age that you can't teach. And as he grew older, those skills got bigger and bigger and better. So all we did is help him keep him out of trouble.
He's always been a strong kid from day one. I remember one time we were playing out in the yard, and I was trying to wrestle with him, and he picked me up over his head. And that's when I knew he was a little different than most of the kids. So he's always had that strength.
Through his career, he had great success. He's done a lot of great things for charities and things. You know, what's he like these days after post-career?
He's still very humble, still giving. We still love him a lot and here to support him.
All right, any final thoughts on what's a special day for the Langford family?
Ray, we all love you, and we're so proud of you. You made all of us feel special this weekend. Thank you.
Today, I proudly wear my new uniform, this red jacket. I will wear it with pride, just as I did my Cardinal jersey when I played. I am a St. Louis Cardinal for life. Wow. Can I say that one more time? I am a St. Louis Cardinal for life.
The team also honored Cardinal Hall of Famer Red Shavings, who passed away earlier this season, and Bob Costas, who is now a member of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame Broadcasters Wing. Well, we're down here at Sweat in the basement where there's a boxing ring. Upstairs is a workout facility, and down here they're doing some cool sparring here. Vaughn Alexander coming up in the middleweight division. Can you tell us about what's going on in your boxing career and about your roots here in St. Louis?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in St. Louis. I actually got a brother too that fight, Devin Alexander. I mean, this is where I'm from. This is where I was bred at. I've been doing this my whole life. I'm 12-0 right now, on my way up through the rankings.
Vaughn Alexander was an up-and-coming boxer with a bright future. He, along with his brother Devin, looked to be the next generation of prize fighters from the STL area after winning silver gloves, Golden Gloves, and Junior Olympic titles side by side, until Vaughn took a turn for the worst. This promising junior middleweight fighter was being groomed for big things with legendary fight promoter Don King, fighting several times at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas and in Madison Square Garden on championship cards of Corey Spinks and Roy Jones Jr. But in 2004, Vaughn committed armed robbery and received a 6-year prison sentence. After receiving his sentence in downtown St. Louis, he asked a deputy if he could use the restroom. When the deputy removed his handcuffs, Alexander punched the officer, and during the altercation, the deputy's gun discharged. Vaughn subsequently escaped custody, but was subdued by officers in the street. Because of this incident, Alexander's 6-year sentence was increased to 18. After 11 years in the state penitentiary, Vaughn was released and is now training with boxers and MMA fighters in an effort to gain an edge and hopefully regain the form of his youth.
Oh yeah, man, I'm just working hard, trying to get to where I need to get to, and that's that world title, period.
Boxer Lamar Harris has trained and fought with Vaughn back years ago and has changed his name to the new Lamar Harris. Lamar, why the change in name?
I changed my name because I was reborn. Just the old me died, and the new me was born bigger, better, you know what I mean, more smarter, and just more prominent.
And he thinks Vaughn Alexander has a chance to regain his form. What about Vaughn Alexander? I know you guys have known each other for a long time, and what about Vaughn Alexander mean to you?
Vaughn Alexander's he's like a brother, you know what I mean? He brings the best out of me. He's awesome. He's a great guy. He's a future world champion.
Joaquin Buckley is an MMA fighter who recently sparred with Alexander and the new Lamar Harris. He explains the advantages of training with different disciplines. It's pretty rowdy down here at Sweat, the gym in Clayton, and you got a lot of stuff going on here today. We've got MMA guys coming in here, boxing with Vaughn Alexander and Lamar Harris here. Why is it important for you as an MMA guy to come in here and box with Vaughn and Lamar?
The biggest important reason why I come in here and box with these guys, man, is so I can work on my art as well, and get a great understanding on how to throw the hands, the defense, and just certain subtle movements that I can apply to my game, you know what I'm saying? So I got to work with the best guys that do this, you know what I mean, so I can apply it to mine.
So you've got, karate, you got jiu-jitsu, you've got all the different kinds of fighting, and you've got different levels. Can you maybe break it down a little bit, and what's the difference between like jiu-jitsu and karate?
Karate, depending on what kind of karate you're talking about, it's just a stand-up striking type deal, It's very traditional with the gi, and, goes way back to BC times, and jiu-jitsu is just a submission grappling down on the ground. But at the same time, all these martial arts are the same. They all fight. They all stem from the same thing. So, there's no different level of it, They all come from, the same thing, and they all the same discipline, for real, in my opinion.
It kind of seems like the trend is going towards MMA. I hate to say it down here with some great boxers, but I don't know if it's like the whole body, the fact that you can get people on the ground, or you're not wearing shoes.
Right. The gorier, the more barbaric, people gonna love it, man. Like, that's still in our blood, man. We still animals, you know what I mean? We still love to see a fight, you know what I mean? Boxing got the same thing, you know what I mean? But I hate like how, but people don't appreciate the art for things, you know what I mean? Like I said, they want blood, you know what I'm saying? They want the blood sport and everything of that nature. That's why a lot of people are starting to gravitate towards MMA a lot more, you know what I mean? Because it's more
in a cage.
In a cage, exactly, you know what I mean? So the whole just idea of an arena, gladiator type, a lot of people just like that a little bit more, but at the same time, people can't appreciate the art of it because they don't understand, if you get what I'm saying, They just rather see KOs and, elbows and stuff like that, so. But I appreciate all the arts, like I said, man. I love the boxing, I love the jiu-jitsu, I love the wrestling. And like I said, I got to work with the best guys. I got to work with Devin Alexander here. I got to work with Lamar. I work with a wrestler named Jaden Cox, Olympic, wrestler. So I got to work with the best guys in order to be the best guy at what I do.
And women are getting involved. I mean, Ronda Rousey is put the women's MMA on the map, and now, a lot of women are going in there and, smacking face.
Most definitely. Girls got to bring it a lot more because they got something to prove, they feel like, you know what I mean? So I really believe they just go out there, you know, balls to wall, you know what I'm saying, for words and terms and stuff like that because they trying to prove something to the guys, you know what I mean, that they can compete just as well and just as good as us.
We've all heard the stories of unscrupulous promoters taking advantage of unwitting fighters. And the new Lamar Harris experienced this firsthand. And fortunately for him, he had counsel by his side. So right now you're getting ready to train for another fight. You recently had a fight in Atlantic City, and your counsel came with you right there in boxing, and I got to see some of the really cool pictures and video of that. Can you maybe discuss your experience in Atlantic City?
Atlantic City was awesome. It was a great fight, great crowd. I had my lawyer, Todd Blackstock, he was there with me, so had a great experience, great exposure. So had really a lot of great people, and fight went really well.
You know, it's pretty cool when you get to see like the behind the scenes pictures and stuff because it's a little surreal sometimes when you see the fights on TV, but you never see what goes on behind the scenes. What's it like behind the scenes, like in the locker room and with the promoters and trying to get paid and all that stuff?
Well, my last experience was terrible because we had a terrible experience, but at the end of the day, we got our money.
All right, Lamar, we were just talking about when you're in Atlantic City, some of these promoters, they try to be slick and they try not to pay, but...
Well, I went and got your blood work done the last day. I got the email and I got the receipt.
You got the blood work, but the
It's
blood
$100, and I got the other expense. I'm going to email it to y'all.
Yeah, it's Todd Mandel here. Todd, when you go and you're representing a fighter and you go to the big event and then they try to get slick, what do you do? How do you put your foot down?
Well, that's exactly what we happened the last time in Memphis, and we had this promoter that was being really questionable, and word around from the other boxers were they weren't getting paid, and all the boxers were starting to talk to each other. I said, well, Lamar, listen, until we get that money, you're not fighting. So we put our foot down, and we actually got this guy into a room, and he paid him. And then all but like $500, and then we said, Lamar's like, no, I'm not fighting until I get the rest. So he had another pocket where he had the other 500. He was just trying to take advantage. So it's a sport where people do get taken advantage of, and I was glad to be there to help out.
Now, how do these guys stay in business? How do they stay, you got the Better Business Bureau and people like that. You file complaints. How do they stay where they can work if they're not paying people?
Well, I think part of the problem is sometimes these promoters only do a fight here and there, so they're not established. But the boxers want to be involved, and they want to fight. That's what they do. So unfortunately, there's some unscrupulous promoters that will take advantage of them.
Well, and you know the ins and outs behind the scenes, so you can be up on the up and up, and you can put some of these corrupt guys away. Exactly. What do you think is up with these guys? I mean, do you think that they're going to come in and not pay people when they train for their whole lives for these boxing matches, and then they try to be slick on you?
Exactly. Boxing is all about money. It's in the boxing world, it's a dog-eat-dog world, so it's all about, like, these guys that are business savvy. They think they're smarter. They think fighters are stupid. So they feel like, I can get him to come here. He can train, he can fight, he can make me a lot of money, but I can tell him I cannot pay him. I tell him I send him a check and we cannot pay him. There's nothing he can do about it because, a lot of guys that box, they're really, really poor. They can't afford lawyers, they can't afford stuff, so there's no way they can get their money. So that's why the guys feel like they got the upper hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's been a lot of talk about the corruption in boxing, so maybe you can get in there someday and help clean it up.
Exactly. So that's my plan. That's my goal. So I'm already licensed as a manager in New Jersey. So I'm definitely going to continue to pursue that. So right now I'm just working on getting fighters under my belt and lead that career in a promising way.
That's our show for today. Thanks for watching Inside Sports. We'll see you next time.